Hey y'all! I'm here today to talk to you about a really important topic, which is kind of like a subset of questions that typically I get from clients. And I've been trying to make this video, literally this is like take 1,000, and I've tried to make this video before and I just feel like I can never get out the proper, what I'm trying to say for this, which is why I've never made a post about it or a video about it, but I'm just gonna go for it today and I'm not gonna leave the spot until I get the answer out for you guys. So, because honestly, this is one of my most frequently asked topics, whatever you want to call it. And it's just something that applies to everyone, whether you're a competitor or a lifestyle client, or you're just in the health and fitness industry, realm in any capacity. So I'm going to kind of explain the target client, what we're doing, what their question is, and then what my response would be. And this is something that we've all been through. I've been through it. A lot of my clients have been through it. So if this is you, don't feel like you're the only person. It's something that's very, very common, but it really does sabotage your progress, in my opinion. It's one of the biggest reasons why people continuously spin their wheels over and over and over again for years and years and years. So I'll just give you a little bit of a background for any past and current clients. You guys know this, but I typically don't take on anyone for a diet, competition, or lifestyle unless I've worked with them in some kind of off-season period. I use the term off-season for all clients. It doesn't matter if you're a competitor or not, so kind of follow along with that, but off-season for really anyone. And this is because most people do not come to me in an optimal place for a diet. It's just the reality. 1% to 2% of people do, but most people do not. I also want to learn somebody's body and see how they kind of respond to different things, but mostly it's to try to get people's calories to a sustainable level where they can actually, maintain their weight on higher calories, because most people come to me very low calorie, maintaining weight, which is not the best plan of attack for a diet. And then also, the mindset typically isn't in a great place either when those things go together. So I really encourage clients to work on that with me. That's something that's huge part of my whole business model, working on long-term sustainable habits, mentally being in the right place to diet and in the off season, as well as getting your calories to a place that are conducive for a weight loss period. So really think about it as the off season as priming you for whatever your diet is, whether it's a competition or a lifestyle. And some people who are lifestyle clients oh, that's not as important, I'm not trying to get super shredded. But trust me, if you're maintaining your weight on 1,400 calories and you're 20 pounds overweight, you're not going to be able to diet off of that. I'm just telling you from experience. So when somebody comes to me, I kind of tell them all this briefly. Mostly it's you're not in the right place to diet. Let's work on an off season. The amount is different for everyone. It really just depends on where their calories are at and how long have they been at those calories. If you've just been dieting and you're like, oh, I ate my face off for a month, I want to diet again, it's not going to happen. That's going to be a lot longer. Versus somebody who's like, hey, I haven't dieted in 6 months and my calories are here. That would look very different. So every case is individual, but just kind of follow along with the the scenario, right? So somebody commits, okay, we're going to do an off season. I'm on board. I understand. I'm super excited for this. And then inevitably at some point in the journey, the questions like this start coming. And like I said, I'm not talking down to people because I have done this too. I've questioned myself a million times during an off season maintenance phase, and I have no idea why, but maintaining seems to be the hardest thing for females. And actually I do know why, but it's because we're very extreme typically by nature. Not everyone, but a lot of people who get into this kind of circle of health and fitness are just naturally like that. So most people are either yo-yoing, binging, restricting, in that kind of yo-yo black and white cycle. And it's really hard for people to maintain. They're either all on, or they're eating everything, or they're eating nothing. That's just kind of where a lot of people have come from. So I understand, and I've been there too, maintaining is very, very difficult. And in a reverse period, what I'm typically doing with most clients is we're just slowly kind of building up calorie intake, and nothing's really changing. So that is the hardest part. So this may be a week in, 2 weeks in, several weeks in. So the client is really, really struggling with the fact that there's nothing drastic happening. The time when they reach out about this is different for everyone, but typically it's because they are kind of struggling with this maintenance mindset. And they're like, okay, so what should I expect on this? How much weight am I going to lose? What's my body fat going to look like? Where are my macros going to be? How many calories do I need to be eating? Blah, blah, blah. And And first of all, I don't know the answer to that. We have typically been working together for a few weeks, so I honestly don't know. But what it comes down to is that people are uncomfortable maintaining. And I could tell them anything, honestly. In 6 weeks you'll be at this, this, and this, and then whatever. But first of all, I wouldn't do that because that's not truthful, and I never say things that aren't truthful. But secondly, that's really not going to help the situation. They don't really care if I said we're going to be eating 5,000 calories at the end. People would be like, oh, okay. They would just take that for what it's worth. What they're really struggling with, which is what I try to help them with, is the mindset of the maintaining. And for most people, like I said, they're used to drastic things. So for somebody to add just a little bit of food, have an untracked meal here and there, be training hard and just kind of hanging out, that is so counterintuitive to what most people do. Most people are really good doing extremes. Oh, I'm gonna diet, I'm finally gonna lose this weight. And then they get really, really restrictive with things. They may lose a little bit of weight, they may stall out, and then they're like, fuck this. And then they go and eat. And then again, that's another extreme, right? So then they're over here. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm not where I wanna be. So they go over here. And they keep doing this for X amount of years. And then that's when people come to me and they're like, I'm fed up. Cool, I'm happy you're fed up. I don't want you to be doing that anymore. But then when we are trying to do what in my opinion is the hardest part, which is just kind of maintaining, people really freak out. Because why do they reach out to me? Most people want to, have a better physique, get stronger in the gym, have more muscle, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of it comes down to how they look, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. Or they're just tired of the restrictive dieting and they're unhappy with what their body wants to be at, which again, I totally understand, right? But we can't change what you've done for the past few years in a few weeks, right? That's the biggest thing that people don't get. And it's hard as a coach, and it's hard for people who reach out to me who don't know me and they're just like, oh, this girl wants to work with me for like a few years. Like, she's crazy. But I'm not going to sell you the 12-week dream, right? That would be bad. That would be shitty. I would be another shitty coach if I did that. The 12-week dream is bullshit. Anyone listening who someone tells you they can get you to whatever your dream physique is in 12 weeks is probably full of shit because there's a lot more that goes into it than just that. Of course, you can make amazing progress in 12 weeks. Not saying that. There's a lot of positive changes you can make in any direction in 12 weeks. But you really have to look at this for a whole holistic approach and kind of the long term, which is why many people can't maintain, because that's a really long-term approach. And if somebody's been dieting, say, 6 years, right? Up and down dieting, I don't know what to do. And then they're a few weeks into the maintenance kind of phase, and they just start freaking out because it's not normal, it's not comfortable. And again, people reach out to me because they don't want to be where they're at. And I'm basically telling them, hey, we got to be where you're at for a few more months before we can think about changing it. So that's really hard for people. But again, you have to think about it like your body can only do so much, right? And somebody comes to me, they've been dieting for a few years, they're on 1,400 calories to maintain their body weight, doing, some cardio, whatever. That's just not a conducive place. You have to prime your body to be ready to diet. So that's the biggest mindset shift that I have to coach clients on, which I'm fine with because that's something that I think, in my opinion, will help them in the long term, for their whole lifestyle and their whole lifelong goals. So there you have it, guys. My most frequently asked questions revolving around this reverse style maintenance, kind of period really all stem from being uncomfortable with maintaining. And I know it is so challenging. I've been there. A lot of clients of mine have been there. So if this is you, don't feel alone, like I said. But it is something that is very rewarding once you get past it. And I just really want to encourage people to take a step back and just think about it. Okay, you came to your coach, or you can be doing this on your own too, whatever it is, because you're unhappy with how things are. Don't expect to erase years of improper dieting and improper behaviors in a few weeks. So you have to get comfortable with maintaining. And that's really hard because a lot of people, like I said, from my experience, come to me, they're not happy with where they're at, but they're also not ready to do a diet. So you have to kind of be uncomfortable for a while in that maintenance period, and then, kind of push through that, and you will have way better success. I promise. How long, how many calories, all these questions, I don't have the answers, and I never will. Every client is going to be different. Everyone's body is going to respond differently. So, you have to know that going into it. So, and I understand where the questions are coming from because, again, I've seen this so much that it really just stems from being uncomfortable with maintaining. So work on that. Going into it knowing also too, I think can help. Like just knowing is half the battle in my opinion for a lot of this stuff. So if you feel like this is you, hopefully this video was helpful in this case. But I really think this is something that everyone should strive to work on, you guys. And what's really cool too, in my opinion, is seeing clients who have done this and then they've done really well in their diets and they're just really, really happy and they've just changed their whole like mental outlook on dieting and just eating behaviors in general. But what you can use this time for, in my opinion, is focusing on other goals. You know, what should you do in a maintenance period? Well, you should work on, you know, okay, you're going to increase your calorie intake. You may or may not be reducing cardio. It just kind of depends on where you're at. Really focus on the gym, like start training a lot harder, like focus on like gym goals. You don't have to do a powerlifting meet, but you can set goals no matter what your training style is, whether it's bodybuilding style, powerlifting style, CrossFit style, Olympic lift, whatever it may be. Using training as like goals besides just physique goals, because those are more concrete and quantitative, right? So using some kind of training goals is going to be really important in my opinion. That's really helpful for a lot of people. So focusing on that, and then also just doing other stuff outside of the gym, you know, like some people like really don't know what to do with themselves if they don't have like 2 hours of cardio and they got to meal prep everything and they got to find a new hobby, read a book, go to an event. You know, like there's tons of things you can do and that don't revolve around your body and how you feel about that. So those are a few tips, you guys. But I promise you, if you're somebody who's in this phase, you're gonna feel like this for a while. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable in this maintenance phase, and your body will thank you so much when you do choose to diet. So hopefully this was helpful. I know it was kind of like all over the place, but there's no real like direct way to answer this. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Share this if you felt like it, you know, you and your friends and everyone else around you could learn from this. And like I said, I think this is one of the most important topics that is not talked about enough. So thank you so much, guys, and have a great day.